So my camera is not working, so just consider this crappy little video art and just kind of think of it as an audio artistic piece. There's definitely room, obviously, to let me move that out the way. There's definitely room to improve the quality, but I can't figure out. So just think of this as like a visual audio thing. So, first of all, I want to say that I do not follow Pearly. Okay, just Pearly things. I've seen clips of this person. My first impression, I saw a couple of clips and I'm just like, wow, this is another Kevin Samuel Leach. And obviously, this person has found a sweet spot in cyberspace, talking on the same points that Kevin Samuels talked on. So, I mean, Candace Owens did the same thing. And so, man, Kevin Samuels' death, man, that sucks. Um, really had a lot of women come up because then it gave them an opportunity to kind of leech on to what he was saying and actually get that manosphere, crowd over their way. And if you're just tuning in, my camera sucks, so I have to use this crappy standard def. So just think about this as like an audio visual artsy thing, but the message is probably relevant. So, but a lot of females kind of blew up around Kevin Samuels, and even after he died, they were just like, well, why don't I just be like this female face? I'll dress up like really nice and cute sometimes, and I'll just like tell men what they want to hear. I'm going to agree with everything that they say, like especially if they were Kevin Samuels follower. I'm going to like really just concede to everything that these men say, their mannerisms, and I'm going to get that following. And I'm pretty sure that's what Pearly did, just like so many other people. And so kudos to them. And then O'Shea Duke Jackson actually do follow that channel. I like his takes. I mean, I think the guy is funny. I think he is one of those pro blacks. And sometimes when you're pro black, that does not mean that you're anti-white, right? It doesn't mean that you're anti-white. It just means that you are pro Black elevation. You want the Black community to, be successful. And one way of that success being secured is Black people really supporting Black people like other communities do. So I caught wind of this drama between, these different YouTubers that had a problem with the fact that Pearl had Nick Fuentes on there. He's a known white supremacist. He's very vocal. And I look at this guy, he's a troll. Like, I really do believe that this dude is a troll. He, on the internet, they get a rise out of saying and doing sensational things. And a lot of it is clickbait. Sometimes we live in this society where everything is so sensationalized that I don't know. It just seems like the more sensational you speak and communicate and behave online, like the more, let me see if I can just dial on this thing a little bit. It's like in my face, Charlie Murphy. But it just seems like I don't even know what's wrong with this camera. Y'all see, I'm not a YouTuber, but I have meaningful thoughts. But anyways, but it just seems like everybody profited off of Kevin Samuel's death was the point of that. So she has Nick Fuentes on her podcast. He's a known racist, and he says some things that a lot of people felt like were disrespectful. And then Pearl says some things that people have felt like was disrespectful about slavery and maybe it being embellished. And so because she hangs out with Black people, right? The white comfort is what that part is. Because she hangs out with Black people, and a lot of white people are like this. I even know white people that use the N-word on the Black people that they know, and it's really acceptable, right? It's not even seen as something that is an insult because that's how immersed these white people become in the Black community. Now, to me, there's kind of some instances with that, right? So, for example, I know this chick I grew up with. Her name is Jennifer. I mean, we grew up, I'm talking about elementary school all the way up. There, been around nobody but Black, and she's Filipino. right? So she was immersed in black culture so much that her baby daddy's black. you know, if you talk to Jennifer, you would think that you're talking to a black person. So I think that what some of these white people do is they get comfortable with being around black people to the extent that they start immersing themselves like maybe Rachel Dolezal, right? Where she like African culture, black culture was just so real to her that she decided to get transracial on us, right? Transracial. that kind of okay, never mind. Anyways, but that's just to say that, we can't negate the fact that people get culturally immersed. This is America. This is a melting pot. No matter how tribalized people want to be in this nation, this is a melting pot. There are so many people that grow up around other people. They go away from their white cookie cutter neighborhoods. They get immersed in other cultures. They realize that, wow, black people or these people aren't as bad as that little tiny town that I grew up in told me. So that's just to say that we got to give people credit for their human experiences, right? Now, the one thing that people like Pearl need to be conscious of is you can't get too comfortable, right? Don't let black people, and sometimes the wrong black people, geek you up, especially some of these angry black men. And I'm not talking about all of these brothers in the manosphere, because I'm sure a lot of them are like financial advisors like myself, or in real estate, or actually doing meaningful things that make money, you know. But some of these other guys are just like they're beta men, they're beta males, right? And these dudes are kind of geeking this Pearl chick on, to believe that you can speak about black people like black people. And I think that's where a lot of this sort of, disconnect with that whole Nick Fuentes thing really comes from, is if you are, targeting black people, if you're immersing yourself in black culture, if your come up really came from producing black content, right? And I'm not trying to be all pro blackity black like that, but let's just be real. Pearl's money is coming from black men, right? And like somebody made the comment that people are jealous of Pearl because she's making so much money and her channel is successful. But let's just talk about that for a second. I think to the point of O'Shea Duke Jackson, who I think is kind of obsessing about this a little bit. Like, dude, just chill with it already. Like, we get your point. Like, I know what you're saying on so many different levels, but like, just get off of Pearl for a second. That's, you're doing a lot of videos on this chick, but I'm just saying that, dang, I messed up my point lecturing that man, because he has been doing a lot of videos. I'm like, dang, dude. But what was I saying? Okay, somebody bring me back to life. Dang. But dang. But I'm just saying, don't get too comfortable. People like Pearl get too comfortable. They let these beta men kind of encourage to believe that they can talk to black people and about black people like black people. And, I don't think any person should make that mistake. I think one thing I respected about Eminem, and he's from Detroit like me, where, all throughout the hip hop game, Eminem really wasn't, disrespecting black people. Like, you don't really hear a lot of times where you hear Eminem disrespecting black people, putting his mouth on black people history, black people issues. You don't really hear Eminem doing that, because Eminem, kind of understands what his lane is, right? I can talk about my experience with black people, right? But when you're talking about black history, that's really not something that you want to like. It doesn't process really well for a lot of black people to hear a white person talk about black history, and then in a fashion in which you're minimizing it. Because I can say that, the way that black history is taught repetitively in this nation in such a critical way, it's still damaging, to a lot of people. I'm going to see a lot of them, right? Because Eminem knows how to immerse himself in black culture in a very organic way without being beside himself to think that he's so black that he can put his mouth on black people topics, right? And that's where, you really do want to make sure at all times that you have a Black person in the mix, facilitating conversations that you're going to have about Black people. I mean, and that would be just the divine balance. And I think she even admitted that, that probably should have happened. But back, Black men, Black men gave Pearl the glory, right? Because, and to their point though, seriously, I was looking at some of these Black women making videos about Pearl, and it was kind of cringe, just because, like, for me, there are like levels to this Blackness stuff, right? Like, you guys will follow my channel. You guys know I don't prescribe to constructs of Black people or Blackness. I just like am myself, and I'm into what I'm into. I like what I like. And, I've just been around diversity enough to know I'm a Midwest chick to the core. So we've just had so much diversity in my general area that, we don't notice racism that y'all keep talking about. We're from the Midwest. We get along over here. Unless the Democrats try to make us racist, then, that's a whole other thing. That's all I paid for. So it's like it come in droves. It like comes and goes. Like, oh my God, they're marching like for 2 hours and then it's over for like the next political cycle. We're really lazy on the protest front around here in Detroit, because we have residuals of those protests here from the 60s, whole neighborhoods that never recovered from the 60s riots in Detroit. So we will give the Democrats just a sprinkle so you can get a news clip or something to say, look what they're doing in Detroit. But that's all you get. Like, you don't get a long marching thing like Portland. Stand for the Detroit. And I venture to say most Midwestern states in the United States, we are definitely a different breed. But those are my thoughts, right, on Pearl and this whole thing. Now, I will say this though. When you're Black enough, all my mama, her grandmother, everybody, we all was from America. So I guess you could say we're foundational. We're foundationals up in here. Not no immigrants or anything like that. But, shout out to our African and Caribbean brothers over here, benefiting from the things that we refuse to benefit from. But I am. So don't stigmatize all of us. But anyways, these little race wars, even internally, they crack me up. So I'm sorry. I'm very cynical. You'll understand that about me. But what was I saying? Yeah. Dang, I'm so off scripted. So it's like I can easily get sidetracked with a thought really, really quickly. That was like equally more important. But yeah, people like Pearl, just watch your mouth, don't get too comfortable with Black people, no matter how many ignorant Black beta males that follow Kevin Samuels, because a lot of those were beta males, right? I can spot a beta male a mile away. It's all about how he reacts, right? Alpha men have control. And that's the one thing, people keep confusing. They keep thinking it's might, what I mean? It's all might and stuff. It's like, no, there is a whole, like, who I think is an alpha male, like my favorite alpha man. And yes, he is a white man, Aaron Rodgers. Okay. I love Aaron Rodgers. Okay. He is the only man at this point that is not of a Black me from the Black men. Because Aaron Rodgers can get it. He's just so fine. But yeah. Aaron Rodgers is yeah. He can. I forgot my thought again. Just thinking about how hot Aaron Rodgers is. But yeah. Anyways, I'm rebranding. Rebranding. I was blocked restricted from LinkedIn. It's been now, and I hate these monopolies, these social media monopolies, and we don't realize until like these moments of tyranny where we've bought into these platforms that literally in terms of social credit score, they really do have a lock on our digital footprint and our credit score, where you could use a platform like LinkedIn for over, um, sorry, my sinuses are going nuts, for over 12 years, like I did, excuse me, for over 12 years, like I did, and build your following organically to over 33,000 people. I was probably on average doing at least 100K a month from that site. And just they don't like your views or your opinions about things, and so they just restrict your account, and they literally stop your social networking. So, and because when you think about it, there's no other site really comparable to, and that is as robust as LinkedIn, and even just tied to so many bigger companies. So I don't trust LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is definitely one of those sites that if you use it, if you are not extreme liberal talking about anti-white craziness, right? If that's not your thing, I would not use LinkedIn, because you're gonna see a lot of just crazy, emotional, trans, DEI, all that stuff that really don't nobody should nobody in the workplace care about. See that, and you just gonna have to accept it, like you just gonna have to deal with that. So that's the new LinkedIn. And it's like one of those things where I am committed to calling that site out, though, because I feel like even if they have section 230 protection, which gives them some First Amendment right to censor people, I still think that this cyber censorship is the U.S. government's way of, really infringing upon our First Amendment rights. And you guys really should check that whole Restrict Act too. That ban TikTok thing, man, that stuff. I mean, they're telling us, but really, it's kind of to take control over our entire digital footprint. So look into that. You see a lot of people saying, "Oh, try ExpressVPN, all these stuff." Your VPN may not be one that the government wants you to use at all. So you might have to look into that, because that bill says 52 pages to ban TikTok. Come on, y'all. Do it take 52 pages? You're going to ban TikTok? No, they got all kinds of hot garbage in that bill. So if you're somebody who uses VPNs and other types of technologies or whatever to have some level of privacy, right? The government is saying that, that may, and I think they're saying if you're transacting people, I think they're going to be monitoring personal platforms. So they're just creating all kinds of scenarios in which they control how we come together, how we talk to each other, how we coalesce online. And so it's going to probably have back to the old school, where we are going to start having to be close enough with people where we're going to have addresses. we're going to have phone numbers, because it just seems like we are moving into being a different America. And it's not the America that I thought this country was. It's not the America that I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought it was. I mean, I look at a lot of the things that are going on in their little succession, and I see Nazi Germany 2.0, unfortunately, with the censorship, because that's what Hitler did, right? And you got Kamala Harris right now in Africa. And what is she doing? She's lecturing them on their laws and their principles about LGBTQ culture, right? So it's like, it's no different than what Hitler was doing, where he was spreading his ideology, trying to get that as far away, right? That's no different. It's no different. And these people are doing things in the name of activism, and it's like any ism is demonism, right? If it stirs you to be self-hating, hating of others in any way, it's demonic. It's demonism. It's a form of demonism, because God does not promote people to hate each other and be divided. So if you're a part of a movement where it's us against them, or we hate them because they believe this, whatever, you are part of a demonic movement, even down to the racism movement, you know? Because real Christians, they love their neighbors, they don't disrespect their neighbor. I've been hearing black people talk about white people like a dog, like a dog. And, and they're like, well, they've been talking about us like a dog. And it's like, really? Really? I mean, because modern Black American experience is nothing, in my opinion, like people are summarizing it to be. And it's doing nothing but inflaming people to hate each other. And when you got a whole bunch of people, groups hating each other, now you got the trans people and the Christians. And, I'm sorry, I'm not, trying to be funny, but and this is not for all trans people, because I think that, there are some anti, child predatory behavior trans people. I don't want to label them all, but the new school trans people, the people, the I would say radicalized kids that are coming out of these colleges and universities or whatnot, these people are very these people are very, very dangerous. And they don't even realize from an ideological standpoint how dangerous they are and how indoctrinated they are. When you get to a point where somebody from your community goes into a school and shoot it up based off of ideology, because there's a manifesto, right? And it appears as though this person had some calculated planning to why they did that in Nashville. And the demonic trans community, some of those people, they're celebrating this, justifying it, saying, oh, well, if they didn't want to pass laws that, harm trans people, and it's like, let's break these laws down. Those laws were to protect minor children, not some of the grown ass people. That person was 28 years old. Those laws had nothing to do with her because she don't even have kids. So for this person to go and shoot up a school, on straight ideology, you can already conclude that this modern trans movement is demonic. It's demonically charged, and a lot of these people are mentally ill. And what we have done is we have normalized their mental illness, and it's going to be to society's detriment because they're clearly mentally ill. And now you're superimposing their illness on other people in society. And we have literally reprogram our mind to deal with their sensationalism, because a lot of these people are sensational, and the reason why is because they want to be seen, right? They are forcing people to see them, and instead of conceding to the fact that I don't need to see you, just like you don't need to see me. I don't need to validate you, just like you don't need to validate me, especially if I don't know you. And so I just think that this whole movement has gotten a little out of hand. I think that the reason why people are so passionate and even to the point of being anti-trans movement is because an ideology is because it is highly infringing. It's one thing for these people who have every single right as everybody else. A trans person can get their ass up out of bed. They can go get a job. They can go to school. A lot of them went to school, right? They can go get a job, And if they want to go to job, if they want to, a lot of these woke companies now are hiring them like hotcakes, only to fire their asses because now they realize you are a liability to this company. And that's why so many people using pronouns on their resumes, they're getting a mild consideration and then they're bypassing, because a lot of companies and a lot of managers are looking at these people as possibly being problematic. You're going to be the first person, lazy as hell, coming into work late as hell, but you're going to scream racism when you get reprimanded about that and when you get fired for that. It's one of those things where, and even down to the trans people, it's like, oh, you're transphobic, I'm dealing with this. And it's like, people don't realize that back in the day, not too long ago, companies really didn't have to give a fuck about what you did in your personal life. It's like literally leave that at the door. Leave it at the door and then come in here and do what we want you to do, right? And I like the fact that companies have been so flexible to the work life experience. But I feel like people have become just like one of those things where there's always something wrong, you know what I mean? And they're not really, I feel like there's some lack of accountability. And a lot of it too is because they're getting really terrible therapists. Like I feel like the mental health experts or whoever, whatever you call them these days, they themselves, and it was always said that, therapists solve their problems vicariously through the people that they serve. Well, I think this is true. Like I think there's a lot of mentally people who are licensed to service other people, and it's only to their detriment because they're affirming these people into some craziness that is ultimately going to harm their kids. And if you are not following the detransitioner stories, you guys really should follow that stuff. But anyways, I am going to get out of here. Sorry for the crappy video, you guys. I said just pretend like it's an audio or whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. But just pearly things. Like I said, my message to you is stop getting that comfortable with Black people. Don't get too comfortable with Black people. Get comfortable enough where you can fancy your curiosity. Why is this? Why is this? But I just feel like, she needs to definitely, when it comes to Black history, maybe she should just stay in her lane. Like, I mean, take the Eminem road and just stay in your lane, right? You don't really hear a lot of people talking about Eminem was racist because Eminem knew what not to talk about. I've never heard Eminem talk about Black people issues, Black history, right? So maybe Pearly, this is a learning curve. We all get them, right? This is good for you. It's good. Have a learning curve, right? And there's a lot of sisters who are really upset, and I've listened to and it's so aggressive. It is so aggressive. And you know, I am a born basic bitch, okay? So I can't relate to a lot of these women, in the YouTube space. You see, I barely drop videos because I just don't have time for this right now. I'm trying to make money. But why are some of these Black women, like, I listened to what Pearl said and, offended, but it's like some of these women are going off the deep end. Like it's like they're like threatening and talking about, I'm gonna, beat your. I'm like, what is this shit? Like, I mean, like, do they personally know each other? Like, I don't understand why some people just feel like going to violence is the right thing to do. And it's like, I mean, nothing that girl said was like, okay, I'm gonna go beat her ass worthy, or like, inspire people to want to have to feel that way about her. And it's just, you know, I again, Black women, some of us are liabilities to ourselves. We are liabilities to the community. We're liability to the overall like image of the Black woman. I mean, I actually want to be more like the 70s Black woman. There were just some grace about these women. They really are. And I think that there's something to learn about how the etiquette. Yeah, that's my take. Like, these Black women have gone in on this woman, and like I said, like, you could, like, it's okay to be upset about what you feel like she said, even though I don't disagree completely with her assessment that slavery was embellished, because I can, talk about my perspective of Black history and how it's been delivered to Black people. I think Black Americans have been miseducated about their history, and I think Black people need to realize too that Black history is not, like Black American history is Black American history. African history and African descent history, African indigenous people history, that is so broad. It's so broad, and it goes way beyond slavery in America even starting. You know what I mean? And the legacies of people from Africa and all over the different worlds. I just feel like that is always missed in Black history, American history stuff, right? It's always missed, like, and I just hope that Black people can kind of like just wrap their minds around who they want to be. Because I mean, I'm actually pretty confused right now. Like, I mean, I'm hearing Black people say I'm not Black. Some people are like, I'm indigenous, some people think I'm African American, some people are saying I'm not African American. And it's just like, I'm so confused right now. It's just like, I'm just gonna be a human, you know. Like, I'll just be a melanated human. Can I catch myself with that? Like, I don't want to be Black. I just want to be like a melanated human being or whatever, because it's just getting too common for me. It really is. So don't be getting mad. Some of you pro blackity black and black. It's like, shoot, y'all done complicated this shit. Like, what happened to ADOS? We not ADOS anymore. We foundational Black Americans. We FBAs. It's like, goddamn. It's like, it's too much. It's just like, we got to pick a struggle. We got to like come to some unison. Like, maybe you can get like Lil Khan and Umar and maybe like some conservatives, like all the Black influencers can kind of come together, like coalesce and like give Black people some guidance on what we should be in America. Because right now the white supremacist media and the US government, they're running our narratives, guys. They're running our narratives, and right now we criminals and whores and thoughts, we're tokens, for political gain. So it's a lot. I mean, having some identity crises here. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you to everyone who have tuned in. I don't do live streams often, but I just want to drop this take, and I'm sorry for the crappiness. Like I said, just think of it as like a artsy audio, right? Right? It's very artsy and grainy, but the words may be inspiring. Anyways, have a good one, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.